ConLink. My name is Gregory Parks. My guest today is an author of young reader fiction, including Webmage, the Fallen Blade series, and School for Sidekicks. Also author of microfiction, Dragon Diaries, and Bad Noir, and also someone who spearheads an initiative blending science fiction and education. Please welcome Kelly McCullough via remote. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, hello.
What was the thing that made you fall in love with sci-fi and fantasy?
So I'm a third generation fan. My mother and grandmother were both involved in the letter writing campaign that saved Star Trek, the original series.
Ooh.
They read me Lord of the Rings in the cradle. I literally don't remember a time when I wasn't embedded in science fiction.
Oh, cool. And the letter writing campaign, awesome. Please thank them for me.
I will indeed.
What is your favorite past project that you've worked on?
Sure. Okay, so I tend to live very much in the now with my books, so my favorite is usually whatever I'm working on at the moment. The thing that came out most recently, Magic, Madness, and Mischief, contemporary fantasy set in a fictional St. Paul at a hippie school, and it's totally not autobiographical. Not one bit, maybe a little. Other than that, I always have a soft spot for my first novel, Webmage, and its main character, the hacker, sorcerer, Ravern of the Middle House of Fate.
Beautiful. That even covered a question of current project. With that in mind, what is a topic that you currently can't stop talking about?
I generally I can't stop talking about science fiction and fantasy, and or politics, which is mostly a good thing, as profession is writers of novels and short stories, and my hobby is I'm an elected county board official.
What are you looking forward to at CONvergence 2018?
Pretty much everything. CONvergence is my home con, has been for, a decade now. Love to see old friends, always have fun on panels. Readings are great. I like the whole thing. It's a ball.
And what is your favorite thing about conventions? What keeps you coming back year after year, in addition to your fervor for science fiction and fantasy?
Mostly it's getting together with fun people who have interesting things to say that I would not have thought of myself. I really like to think and I like to learn, and I get to do a lot of that at science fiction convention.
Oh, cool. So that kind of lucky 10,000, those lucky 10,000 moments, are you familiar with that, with XKCD?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Lucky 10,000 comic, where instead of being elitist and deriding people for not having known about something, it instead focuses on the excitement of introducing somebody to something new and something that you're excited about and that they'll be excited about.
Yeah, that's always so cool. Yeah, that's one of the things I like about panels is if I didn't do paneling, I would probably end up with a much more insular con, hanging out with the people I've known forever. But with panels, I'm always getting to meet people who are interested in the same topics that I am, who have interesting things to say about it, who I might not have met in any other way.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. I love that. What is something that you would like us to know about you, either you or your projects?
Well, mostly that I write books that are fun to read, both for kids and adults. I tend to write fast, funny adventure stories, lots of action, a fair bit of humor. Mostly fantasy. I'm also occasionally entertaining in person and on panels, so people should come by and watch me on one of those if they want to laugh or two.
How did you fall into your specific niche?
So when I started, I was looking at what novels. Part of the way I think is very strategic. So I went around and I looked at first novels and what was selling, and typically. You do get the big fat fantasies, the Pat Rothfuses. When I started out, you were much more likely to break in with a novel around 80 to 100,000 words. It's cheaper to print. It's less of a bet for the publisher. Easy to do in paperback. So that was kind of the target length that I was going for. I had talked to people like Kristen Catherine Rush and Dean Wesley Smith and some other folks and said, so if I'm going to do this right, how do I go about it? Specifically set out to write that sort of shorter work. My Fallen Blade series, which is a fairly dark assassins epic fantasy, is 6 books at this point, so it's like 600,000 words. It equals out to a couple of big fat fantasies, but it came out in smaller pieces.
Have you ever geeked out meeting somebody? And if not, who do you think you would geek out meeting?
So Tim Powers is perhaps my favorite living author. I have, a lot of favorite authors, but Tim is way up there. And he actually was teaching the year I was a Writers of the Future winner. So I went off to spend a week being taught about writing by Tim Powers. And I was very careful to try and maintain my cool. I'm like in the background. And I mostly managed it. I didn't scare him away. And at some point during the week, he was talking to somebody and he said something about one of his past books that had been out of print for 20 years. I said, oh yeah, Epitaph and Rust and Forsake the Sky are really hard to find. Turns and he looks at me. And then the next day he came by and he gave me one of his author copies of something that had just come out in a limited print run. He said, I figure you're one of the few people I know who'd really appreciate this. And I treasure that to this day. It was Pirates.
Well, thank you. That's all the time we have. See you there. This has been ConLink.